So today we'll be summarising the pedagogical reasoning for art education and contemporary art. The lecture will cover 3 contemporary artists, which will help to explore our definition of what contemporary art is and the pedagogical intent of higher education. So, let's begin. The first and foremost thing that everyone should be aware of is that art is political. There's no doubt in this, because art is a commodity. It has become consumed by the capitalist society in which we all adhere and live within. So both art and politics come hand in hand. A prime example of this is Saria Ferrer's Infiltrated 2014. The art discusses racial politics, and it is a site-specific piece that suggests that ethnic diversity is desired, if not mandatory, in places of less diversity. The piece, for me, is difficult to objectively analyse because I know the artist and therefore I cannot objectively analyse it, possibly using something like Death of the Author, for example. And knowing the artist, knowing that they come from black heritage, it is possible that race is being discussed as an insecurity, especially due to the reference of post-colonial texts by Fanon. So one may even infer that this suggests that ontology is dependent on binary opposition, which is a rather structuralist view which juxtaposes the post-structuralist text that is mentioned. So this is a prime example of art being political. Secondly, contemporary art is not based on aesthetics. Duchamp made this evident, and since then everything can be considered art and practically is art. So trying to challenge me and say that art can be based on mere aesthetics, it's not worth the time because it's an argument that's not worthy of justifying. One may appreciate Renaissance art, for example, and appreciate the likes of Raphael, but there's no point in creating work in that style because it serves no purpose in this day and age. It adds no value to contemporary art. Unless, of course, it were to be humorous or were done for the sake of being a copy, but otherwise there's no aesthetic value for art. That's not necessarily important. So contemporary art is anything except traditional art. Considering that, Summer Project by Helena Stacey, is this an example of contemporary art? I'd be inclined to say no. Although one cannot deny the technical skill that is evident in this piece, and that's where the strength of the piece lies, within the technical skill. This is not contemporary art. There are hints towards discussing the profundities of life, and death, through the use of this imagery, but it's not enough. This is not enough to be considered contemporary art. Contemporary fine art has more than aesthetic value, so why create a photorealistic image that can be created digitally? All in all, art should be autonomous. It should challenge the pluralistic society in which we live, so therefore you should view art not as heavenly artifacts, but instead as thought-provoking objects, and right now this piece doesn't exactly do that, so that's not an example of contemporary art. Thirdly, concluding with 2 points, contemporary art is informed. It has political relevance. It's not determined by aesthetics. So all in all, art is theory. It's determined by, more particularly, critical theory. This can be seen in Charlotte Rimmer's A Skyline. There's a theory behind this work. It does serve some kind of aesthetic purpose, however there's a more deeper meaning to it. The artist is dealing with the issue of urbanisation and the continuing expansion of industrialisation. The work therefore has a concept. It is informed and it is theoretical. It's been informed both geographically and artistically by the likes of Richter and Lambie. And so remember that art is not aesthetics. Looking at the work is not enough. So when you're in an art institution or a museum, it's important that you read the curation, and it is important that you read in order to broaden your own practice. That will help you become a contemporary artist. You will create what is considered contemporary art if you were to read and expand your knowledge. So attending exhibitions, reading the information will help you to become an artist who is now a theorist. For further information on any of the artists or the work discussed today, it's important to visit these websites and do your own reading outside of this lecture. That is mandatory. But all in all, it's important to remember that if you want to succeed as a contemporary artist, you need to remember that art is political. Art is not aesthetics, and art is theory. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. And thank you.